Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Morales. I'm one of the USC College Advisors, and today I'm here to show you how to apply to Long Beach City College or any community college in particular. So even though I'm specifically going to be showing you guys the Long Beach City College application, most if not all community colleges in the state of California have very similar, if not exact, college applications. So if you view this video and you're like, I'm applying to Cerritos, this video will actually also help you apply to Cerritos. So please stay tuned to watch me go through the Long Beach City College application. So if you saw the previous video, I showed you guys how to apply for a CC account, which is an account you're going to use to apply to any community college. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you actually apply to Long Beach City College. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys step by step how to complete the application and why and what to select for certain parts of the application. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen so that you guys can see it. So similarly as the previous video, you guys can go ahead and open a brand new tab. If you guys just Google LBCC, you guys can go ahead and click that first link. And then it's going to go ahead and bring you to the homepage for Long Beach City College. You can always go as before, which is apply now. Once you go ahead and apply now, you're going to go ahead and click start my CC application. And then you can go ahead and go here, apply to LBCC. So if you already have an account, you can go ahead and sign in to your account. If you don't have an account, you can use a previous video to see how to create a CC account. Hopefully it lets me log on. Okay, perfect. So I think I'm going to go ahead and delete this and start a brand new application. So we're going to go ahead and start a new application for Long Beach City College. So the very first step is it's gonna ask you what term you're applying to. So I know a lot of students often get confused whether they're applying for spring or summer. So you guys are actually applying for summer, fall, but I know the wording could get a little bit confusing just because it has the word summer. But you will be applying for summer/fall, meaning you can either start school in the summer, you can start in the fall. So if you start in the fall, you would roughly be starting school in about August, September. So your educational goal, normally I encourage all students to click obtain an associate's degree and then transfer to a four-year university. And the reason why I normally recommend these to students is oftentimes when you guys graduate high school, and I was one of those students, we don't really know exactly what we want to do, whether we want to get maybe just a certificate program, an associate's degree. So normally I tell students, keep your options open. So let's go ahead and think broadly and have you obtain an associate's degree and then transfer. If you end up not wanting to do that, that's totally fine. You can always go back and change your mind. I just like for students to have a lot of options open. So normally I encourage for them to go ahead and select that. And like I said, you can always speak to a counselor and you can change your educational goal, you can change your major, but I would recommend for all students to go ahead and click that for now. And then it's going to go ahead and ask you what your intended major is. And to kind of piggyback off on what I just said about the educational goal, normally I encourage all students to select that they're going to get an associate's degree and then transfer to a four-year university just because, once again, it gives you guys a lot more options. If eventually you decide you don't want to transfer to a four-year university, you can always make that change of heart, but I would rather students have more options than less options. So when you select transfer, there's going to be two options. One's going to say transfer to a CSUGE and transfer with IGETC. So the difference between both is that a CSUGE, you're going to be completing classes specifically to transfer to a Cal State. So if you are for sure saying, hey, I want to transfer to Cal State Long Beach, you can go ahead and select that. The difference between that and the one that says IGETC, if that one provides you with more opportunities and more options, because if you select that one, you can go ahead and have the opportunity, if you do all the coursework required, to not only transfer to a Cal State, but you also have the option of transferring, if you wanted to a UC or a private school. So it definitely does give you more options in terms of where you're looking to apply. If you're still unsure when you transfer whether you want to go to a UC or a Cal State or even a private school, I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and choose the option that's the IGETC. So the first one that comes up here is the Administration of Justice for Transfer, IGETC. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And let me just reassure you once again that if for whatever reason you choose something right now and you realize like, hey, I don't really like it, I want to change it, you can always do that. Most students change their major more than once, so it's definitely doable and normal for you to change your mind. All you have to do is go speak to a counselor just to go ahead and get that process done. But once you go ahead and select that, we're going to go ahead and click continue. So then it's going to go ahead and go on to your contact information. So this information should have already been filled out beforehand because it's transferred directly from your CC account. So your mailing address is going to be the same one as your CC account. And you're going to go ahead and click continue. So for this, it's asking you what's going to be your enrollment status when you start school in after July 1st. So for many of you guys, for most of you guys are going to be a first-time college student after leaving high school, regardless if you have done dual enrollment or taken any classes at LBCC or any other community college, you will still be a first-time student in college. So it's really important that you do select that because we want to make sure you guys are eligible for those 2 free years at Long Beach City College. And sometimes if we make a mistake, it can trigger something for you to not get that free year. Once you go ahead and click that, we're going to go ahead to your high school education. So for you guys, it's going to be that you have received a high school diploma from a school here in the US. It's going to go ahead and ask you for your graduation year or graduation date, sorry, and year. So for students, I work at Wilson. So for all of my Wilson students, you guys are going to go ahead and click June 11th of 2020. So your graduation, depending on what school you're at, could vary. So make sure you guys are checking your calendar just to double check those dates. So yeah, so if you received a diploma, GED, or certificate in California, so you guys should have received a high school diploma, you're gonna go ahead and click yes. Have you attended high school in California for 3 or more years? You can go ahead and click yes. So these questions are gonna be up to your discretion depending on your specific situation. So some of these I might be selected yes right now, but it might, for you, it might be no. So just make sure you guys are reading the questions correctly just so you can respond as honestly and as accurate as possible. So last high school attended, so I'm going to go ahead and click that I attended high school. It's going to go ahead and ask you which high school you attended, so you can go ahead and pre-fill this information out. So for Wilson, I might just have to type in Wilson, and then it'll go ahead and give me a drop down of different high schools that have that Wilson name. So we want to make sure we're selecting the correct school. And then for here, it's going to go ahead and ask you for some transcript information, which you can always access online. So I'm going to go ahead and click some random GPA. But if you do have trouble accessing or which GPA to put, definitely reach out either to your advisor at your school or even to your counselor if you're having trouble finding your GPA. Then it's going to go ahead and ask you what was your highest English class. So you want to go ahead and select the class, your highest English in your 12th grade year. So for a lot of students who, for instance, are taking multicultural or some kind of other English class, we're going to go ahead and select that you're taking, your 12th grade English composition or literature. You're going to, for the grade that you received, you're going to go ahead and select the grade that you received your first semester of your senior year. So whatever grade you got first semester in that English class, you're going to go ahead and put that. I'm going to say I got a B. And then for math, same thing. Depending on what current math class you're in, we're going to go ahead and put the grade of that first semester. So let's say I took trig and stat. I'm currently taking trig and stats. So I'm going to go ahead and put statistics, and I got in that class, let's say I got an A because I'm really good at math. So you're just going to go ahead and fill this information based on the classes that you are currently taking your senior year. And then it's going to start asking you more personal information, such as your citizenship status. So depending on what your citizenship status is, you could go ahead and put you're a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, temporary resident, refugee, whatever applies to you. So I'm going to pretend like similar to my video in the CC account, like that I do not have citizenship. So I'm going to go ahead and click select other. If you do have a visa, you'll go ahead and select that. But for me, let's say I do not have any documents. So that just, it's going to condense a lot of the information. But like I said, fill out as much of the information that applies to you and your individual case. So now it's asking about the U.S. military or dependent military. So I'm going to pretend that none of these apply to me because I'm not a spouse, a child, or anyone from the military. So none of those apply to me. Once you go ahead and select that, you're going to go ahead and click continue. And then it's going to start asking you some residency information. So it's going to ask you, have you lived in California since May 31st of 2018? If the answer is yes, you should go ahead and click yes. And then it's going to ask you from some out-of-state activities, like if you pay taxes outside of California, if you registered to vote outside of California, if you declared residency at a college or university outside of California, if you filed a lawsuit or divorce outside of California. If any of those apply to you, you can go ahead and check those boxes. If none of that applies to you, you can go ahead and just keep moving forward. So then it's going to ask you at any time in the last 24 months were you determined to be homeless by any of the following agencies. So if by the school officials or homeless liaison at the school or some emergency shelter, transition housing program, or anything like that, they were able to say that you were homeless, you can go ahead and fill this information out. Like I said, just be as honest as you can. A lot of these questions that you respond to, depending on how you respond to, they will go ahead and connect you with resources that can best benefit you. So like I said, it's best to be honest. So once you go ahead and click that, you're going to go ahead and click continue. And then it's going to start asking you some things about your needs and your interests. So as it's going to ask, are you comfortable reading and writing English? Yes. Are you interested in receiving information about money for college? I encourage you guys all to put yes. We all want to be able to get free money regardless of whether you get those 2 free years and that LBCC offers, but just extra money is never bad. And then this is, are you receiving any kind of government assistance or general assistance? So CalWorks or anything like that. If the answer is yes for you, go ahead and click yes. If no, click no. And then it's asking you if you're interested in participating in sports while attending college. Depending on, like I said, your interest, you can go ahead and say, yes, I'm interested, no, I'm interested, whatever the case is for you. And then these are going to be different programs and services that are offered at the school. So you can go ahead and click whatever interests you most. So if you're interested, let's say, in learning more about housing information, employment assistance, online classes, you can go ahead and select whatever interests you the most. Just make sure by you checking this, it means you're going to go ahead and get email information about this particular program or whatever you chose. But it is on you to still follow up and complete an application if necessary. So if, let's say, for instance, I went ahead and said that I want to join the student government, they're going to go ahead and email me information about the student government, but it's going to be on me to reach out to the student government office to set up an appointment or whatever the criteria is if I want to be involved. So just because you click one of these boxes doesn't mean you're automatically in the program, but rather that you're going to receive information about the program, and it's on you to make sure you follow up if you want to be a part of a specific program. So I'm just going to go ahead and click EOPS. And you can, like I said, you can click as many as you'd like. And then it's just going to ask you general demographics about your gender, your sexual orientation. So I'm going to put decline to say. You can, like I said, you can, answer as honestly as you want. And then it's going to ask you about your parents' education level. You can go ahead and answer as honest as possible. You can choose not to answer. I recommend just be honest and answer whatever that question is asking you about your race, ethnicity. And then I'll go, let's say it's asking are you Hispanic or Latino, I can put yes, and then it's going to go ahead and give you a breakdown more about which ethnic group you are, and same thing with everything else. And then it's going to ask you some supplemental questions. So it's asking you, have you attended a local high school. So let's say I am attending Long Beach Wilson. It's going to ask you which district. It's going to go ahead and ask you for your Wilson ID. So that's the ID, the number on your ID. So make sure you are writing it accurately. So I'm obviously not a student at Wilson, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank. And then it's going to ask you some other demographic survey questions. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see if it lets me skip forward. And then here it is going to ask you about sports. So I'm going a little bit back. If you're interested in doing specific sports at the school, you can go ahead and check it. That way you get more information about it. So it won't let me move forward without filling some of the information. So I'm going to go ahead and just click random stuff just so we can keep moving forward. But a lot of these are asking you, like for this one, it's asking you, other than yourself, how many other adults and or children do you support financially? Let's say I do not, if you have any dependents, you'll go ahead and put, I do not have any dependents, and it's going to ask you what is your gross household income before tax. Go ahead and, fill that information. Let's say I speak another language, Spanish. And then just answer these questions as honestly as possible. And then let's say I want to know more about gymnastics. And continue. And then this is going to be pretty much, if you want to review your application, which I would, just to make sure all the information that you selected is correct, that's where you would do this. And then all this, you would go ahead and click consent, and then click these boxes, and all this information is saying that all the information that you provided on this application is honest and correct. So once you go ahead and do that, I'm not going to go ahead and submit the application just because I already finished college. But if you do, once you go ahead and get here, you can go ahead and click submit my application, and you'll get a confirmation email that says, you submitted your application. Once you receive that email, you're going to go ahead and get an email in about 24 to 48 hours, depending on what day you submitted your application. That's going to have your Viking ID. Once you have that Viking ID, it'll give you access to your portal. So that's where you'll be able to complete all your other stuff, such as your placement test, your orientation. So it's really important that you are checking your email regularly. But that's pretty much the end of the video. That's how to complete your application for Long Beach City College. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the other community college applications are very similar. So this video should help you also fill out an application for another college. But please feel free to reach out to me or your advisor at your prospective school. If you do have any questions, we're here to support you with anything you may need. So please do not hesitate to reach out. But I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you for watching.